that we're going to kind of fill in with too. So, standard form is what we're talking about today. And this kind of has to have you really kind of look at things differently. You have been doing slope-intercept problems. You have been looking for the initial value. How much am I starting with? How much am I gaining or losing? This has nothing to do with that, right? If you remember back to standard form, that's your AX plus BY equals C, right? And when an equation was in standard form, we found the X and Y intercepts, right? So we made the X 0 and solved for Y. We made the Y 0 and solved for X. We're doing that again today. And it's going to mean something, okay? So the first thing I want you to think about is this. Your class is taking a trip to the library. There are two different kinds of vans that you can travel in, a small or a large. A small can hold 8, a large can hold 12. There are 144 people in your class. So you see the problem, right? The question is, how many of each van do I need to fit those 144 people? Okay? So you're smart enough kids to be able to know how to solve this problem probably without algebra, right? You would do some trial and error, right? You would probably say, I'm going to start with 6 small vans. And 6 times 8 is 48, and I need to get to 144, right? Like, I know there's ways around it, because you can do some guess and check. Guess and check is not necessary when you have algebra, right? Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is set up an equation. All of these story problems and word problems start with an equation. So we're talking about what 2 variables. Now, before when you made like a table, there's not really a table for this one, because for a table, it was, for this many days, it was this high, or for this many days, it was cost this much. So what do you think your 2 variables are going to represent? What could your X and Y be? Small vans or large vans? That's your X and that's your Y. Okay? Now, normally what we're going to do, so that we all are on the same page here, is if it's mentioned first, that's your X, then that's going to be your Y. So we're going to say let X equal the small vans, and we're going to let Y equal the large vans. We're going to talk in a little bit about maybe possibly using S for small and L for large. We'll talk about why that may or may not be a good idea. We'll see. This is pretty important right here, because you're going to forget which one is which. And later when you have to place numbers in the right spot, if you don't see that, you may put it in the wrong spot. Okay? So other important information is that the small van can hold 8 people. The large van can hold 12 people. And then there are a total of 144 people in your class. That's the information I need right now to make my equation. So the first thing we're going to do is say X is small, and that's 8. 8 people per small van. Do you see that? And if I take that 8 people per small van and add the 12 people per the large vans, when I add those 2 together, they have to equal what? 1. Well, we know in real life, does every seat have to be taken? Can there be some extras? Yes, but for this point, we need to figure that out. That's your equation. Does that make sense? I mean, that wasn't hard at all. That's your standard form. So we assigned an X value to 1, our first variable, a Y to our second. We said 8X plus 12Y equals 144. There's your first checkpoint. So this is a 3-point problem. Point 1 comes from getting that equation. Okay? The second point is going to come from you finding the intercepts. Find the intercepts to represent 2 possible combinations of small and large vans that your class could fill. So, remember, an intercept means it's on the axis. And if it's on an axis, one of the 2 points is 0, right? So, if I make X 0, 8 times 0 is 0, and I'm left with 12Y equals 144, right? If I make Y equal to 0, 12 times Y is 0, and I'm left with Okay? So now what I want you to do is what you know how to do. Solve these equations. Y is equal to 12. And x is equal to 18. But I'm not done, because what is the part that, remember, kind of tripped some of you up on that last test we took? These are intercepts. This is where the line touches each of the axes, which means they're two separate points. So don't make this one point. Do not write 18, 12, because it's not right. Each of these is its own point. Yes? So the y value is 12, which means the other one must be 0. And the x value is 18, which means the other must be 0, right? Okay, so today, instead of making a table, we're replacing it with a sketch of a graph. So no table today, but you are going to do a little graph. So let's kind of just go over here. And for most of the graphs that you're going to do, you're only going to need the first quadrant, because we're talking about mostly positive variables. Here's what's kind of weird. Like, you're used to saying, for this many days, it costs this much, or for this many. These don't mean this many for this many. They're not related to each other. What did you make your x-axis? The small. And what did you make your y? The large. Okay? So now I need to plot those 2 points. My x-intercept is 18. So all the way over here I put 18, comma 0. And then my large is 12. So this is 0, comma 12. And then you know what you do when you have your intercepts, right? You connect them. Okay, but we need to talk about what these intercepts mean. If you go back up and read the problem, it says, find the x and y intercept to represent two possible combinations. So when you find the intercepts, this is so important. Your intercepts are your all or nothing. So what does this, first, by the way, isn't this really important? I want you to write this, small, comma, large. Because that ordered pair is really important. Actually, right after you do this, I would do this. Make that step 2. Because now, what does the ordered pair mean? What does this ordered pair mean? It means if you were the student council president and you called up and said, we're going library, I need to schedule some buses, this means that don't give me any small, but I would need 12 large buses. Okay? What if you call and they say, sorry, all of our large buses are out of gas or they're in the repair shop? Then you would need 18 small, no large. Got it? So if you have to kind of write something to kind of help you understand that this means no small, all large, and that this ordered pair means all small and no large. I mean, you don't need to write that every single time. But does that make sense to you? So those intercepts are your all or nothings. Okay. You need those intercepts to make that line. Now, here's the next question, because you're not done. Because you have to answer, if your class uses 15 small vans, then how many large were used? And the good news is, this question is answered the same way as the previous lesson. You just plug it in, right? But you got to know where to plug it in too, right? So you have an X and a Y. And remember kind of how we used H for hours last time? Could I have written my equation 8S plus 12L for large equals 144? You can do that, okay? If you do that, when you get this, you would have gotten S equals 12 and L equals 18, and then it would have kind of been hard to know which spot to put it in, right? So it's kind of a toss-up. So here's the thing. You just need to know, that's why this is so important, right? Or this is so important. Because you have to know where to put 15. Am I putting it in for X or Y? Well, it's representing small, and small is your, do you see why these are important? I don't know about you, maybe you can keep it straight, but I'm the teacher and I need to see it. Because every time I do this, I'm like, okay, which one do I put it in? Oh, it's right there. So now I'm going to say 8 times 15, because that's the small, plus 12y equals 144. This is what is this? I did this. Where did we put it? Where did I do that problem at? 120. I could have just done that in my head. Equals 144 minus 120 minus 120. 12y equals 24, 12, 12. Okay, so y equals 2. But what else? How do we wrap this up? So when your y value is 2, what was your x value? 15. So when I made my x value 15, my y value was 2. Whew. What does that mean, though? If I'm going to use, if they only have 2 large buses or vans that are available, then I'm going to need 15 small. So guess what? If I gave you like graph paper that was perfect and it had all these exact numbers, do you think 15.2 is on this line? It better be, right? So that's what plugging a point in, getting the other value, you're guaranteeing it's on that line. So look, if that's 18, this is 15, comma 2. All right? So essentially what you're doing when you are solving standard form word problems is this. You're giving me 3 possible combinations of things. So all small, no large, all small, no large, no small, all large, and some of each. Okay? So each intercept and then another point on the line. Got it? So I'm looking for your equation. These are your checkpoints that you need to make sure you have. Your ordered pairs. And really, that's it. Your checkpoint and 3 ordered pairs. Okay? Or your equation. So now, let's go down to number 2. You're at a flea market. And every shirt at the flea market is $4.50, and shorts are $6. You go in there with $108, and you want to spend it all. So, the question is, a couple things. What if I want to buy all shorts, but no shirts? How many could I get? What if I want to buy all shirts but no shorts, right? And then what's the third combination? A little bit of each. So start with your equation. So first, actually don't start with your equation. Start with what you're going to let x equal and what you're going to let y equal. That is the most important. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start with t-shirts because they were first. That's how I'm going to set my answer key up. And shorts are second, so that's going to be my y. So x is the shirts, y is your shorts, which means you can't write sh for each. So this is shirt, shorts. Seems silly, but I know they're kind of mean the same thing, but that's really helpful to see it in that ordered pair like that. Because that means you know your first spot, you know. So now, write your equation. So your equation is going to be what? It's $4.50 for A, and I almost went to put T by instinct, but then you can try that. Per t-shirt, plus $6 for every pair of shorts, and I have a total of $108, right? Okay? So if I'm looking to find each of my all or nothings, in other words, my intercepts, make x 0 and you get 6y equals 108. Make y equal to 0 and you have 4.5 equals 108. And then when you divide both sides by 6, I forgot my x. Okay. We are talking about two separate points, right? So this means if y is 18, x is 0. If x is 24, y is 0. Do not make that 24, 18. So then what I would want to do next is just kind of sketch this. Explain to me what this ordered pair means, somebody. What does that mean? That means you go into the flea market and you buy all what? Shorts and no shirts. And how many shorts can you get? 18. Because you know what? Because 18 times 6 is 108. Are you getting this? So here is your x, which is your, and here's what I want you to do. Even though it's just a little sketch, still fill it out. What is your x? Shirts. And your y is shorts. And I'm getting 24 shirts but no shorts. 18 shorts but no shirts. So I have my two ordered pairs. And now all I have to do is answer the question to find my third, right? And the question is, if you buy 12 pairs of shorts, how many shirts did you buy? If you spent all of your money, exactly $108, and didn't go over or under. So now you know that 12 is your x or y? Y. So you put it in there. So you have 4.5x plus 6 times your shorts equals 108. And I think you guys got it from here. 4.5x plus 72 equals 108 minus 172. Or not 172. I can do that. 4.5x equals 36. 36 divided by 4.5 gives you 8. Okay. So close to being done. I just have to do what? Make 8 is my x, comma. What was my y when x turned out to be 8? What did I start with? 12. So, your answers for these problems will contain 3 ordered pairs and an equation. Yes? So, I'm going to do 3 a different way and kind of just see if you want to try it with, instead of using the X and the Y. So, GLC is making wreaths for Christmas fundraiser. Small wreaths are 3, large are 5, kind of like the bus or the van. So, let's let S equal the small wreath. And let's let L equal the large. And when you use variables that look like numbers or letters, then you have to kind of do the cursive version. So you may do this and you may be like, I don't know, that S and that L stuff, that just kind of messes me up. I'm going to stick with the X and the Y. You know what you may want to do? You may want to do that next to it. Just kind of be like, okay, that's really going to be my X. And that's going to be my Y, just to be on the safe side. So when you do this, you're going to have small in your X and large there. Your equation is going to say it's $3 for a small wreath, $5 for a large wreath, and our goal is to make $300. So the question would be, how many of each would I need to sell? If I sold no small, how many large? And so on. So then you have 5L equals 300. 3S equals 300. And you guys know what to do. Now, here's what I was talking about earlier. When you find out that L equals 60 and S equals 100, it's really not as easy to make those ordered pairs now, is it? Because you're kind of like, shoot, which one's 0 and which one's, you know what I mean? So sometimes sticking with the X and the Y makes it easier to do those. But if you get to this point and you look up here, oh, L is the Y. So this goes here. and S is the small, which is the X. I'll show you how it'll make it easier in a minute. So those are my 2 points. How many large would you have to sell in order to meet if you already sold 50 small? So now is it easier here to know where to put the 50? You see what I mean? It's easy because it's small, and small is S. So I know where to put it. So it's kind of like flip-flop. You got to pick one where you want it. So 3 times 50 plus 5 larges equals 300. Okay. So I'm almost done. I have to do my sketch on my last ordered pair. Large is, meaning if I had 30 small or 50 small wreaths sold already, then I still need to sell 30 large. And that would look like this. This would be my small. This would be large. I need to give you guys some more room, don't I? And then this would be 0, 60 large, 100 small. And when I connect this, guess what point is on that line? 50, 30. Okay? Think you got it? All right, good stuff.